Like, what are some of the biggest differences between Dutch people and American people? Like, if we were to make that comparison between those two groups in terms of cultural norms, values, how people act, what are some things that you've noticed over the last 25 years?
The American people should do something else right now because I don't want to offend them. But let me phrase this as follows. Whatever I'm going to say is going to be sounding like a cliche or a big generalization, and every generalization is a lie, including this one. But anyway, some of the cliches have a kernel of truth in them. Overall, I found the Americans to be so friendly, so welcoming, so warm and enthusiastic that we think as Dutch people, the Dutch people are kind of level-minded. When you hear Dutch people speak like that, this is the level of enthusiasm. It will never get above 7 or 8. When the Dutch person speaks at 7 or 8, it sounds like this. Unless they go crazy and watch a soccer game, that's a different ballpark, or they have a few Heinekens to drink. But mostly the Dutch are very level-headed, level-minded. They will never say, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever." No. Whereas Americans, they go berserk. They go out of their mind to show you their enthusiasm for the smallest things. Oh my God, that's so interesting. You never walk in your wooden shoes. Oh my God, it's so great. So, to us, it's all exaggerated. Everything is fantastic. The superlatives are there, and we don't have that in the Netherlands. And that's just normal. They don't act out at all. No, this is their level of enthusiasm. They always turn the level up to 11. And it's a cliche. It's a cliche of the loud American, because the Dutch, when you hear the Dutch people speak, it's like at a 5 or 6, maybe we talk like this. But when you hear Americans speak, you can hear them from 10 miles away. And this is something that's been confirmed in many, many countries. If Americans don't think that you understand what they say, they start even talking louder because they say louder. They get a message across even better. That's what they think. It's not like that. Oh my God, give me a break, people. and and also they think that America is the greatest thing on earth, the greatest country on earth. I mean, indoctrinated from birth. You learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in school. You have to respect the flag. Everybody hangs their flag 24/7. It's crazy. It's America, America. It's the greatest country on earth. And they believe that everybody thinks that too. They think that America is the savior of the world, the policeman of the world. The dollar is, of course, the money that makes the world go round. And we got oil. We got the biggest defense industry. It's the American nationalism, the arrogance, and they're so boastful. Everything that we see and hear from the current administration, it's just, gosh, and it's not warranted at all. Come on, people, do normal, act normal. Turn it down a couple of notches. That's fine. The whole world thinks that you're a big show. This whole showmanship, of course. And also the Dutch are known as very humble people. One of the things that you have to be modest. Modesty, there's the Calvinism again. Modesty is a Dutch virtue. You don't boast about your own accomplishments. The Americans say, I make this amount of money. I got this promotion last year. I'm sorry for the accent, but they really want to share with the world how great they are, how great they think the nation is, and how life has blessed them. Now, also the element of religion in the United States is very strong, especially the evangelicals. I think a majority of Americans are evangelicals. And they shout their religion from the rooftops, and they think that the rest of the world, especially now with this administration, should conform to their religion. They try to get the 10 Commandments in the schools. They want to have the Trump Bible in every school, not in every state, but especially the southern states. And religion is a very important aspect. If you want to get along in society and move up, you have to be part of a church. You have to say, I believe in God. He's my savior. Whereas the Dutch say, oh my gosh, no. The Dutch have moved away from the church. We are becoming more secular by the minute. We turn away from faith. We're much more rational. They're not much into our feelings. And so that's another aspect of America that I think I underestimated, the influence of religion and how normal it is to talk about your own accomplishments and about your religious beliefs. And for some reason, you want to impose that and share that with the rest of the world. Are those enough cliches, or do you want to hear more? Yeah.
I mean, what's interesting to me, what's kind of standing out, is that earlier in our conversation, you mentioned how Dutch people, because it's the Netherlands is a very small country, tend to be outward thinking, well traveled, learning English, things like that. And in some ways, the U.S. is very inward thinking. This is the sense, like you mentioned. A lot of Americans might believe that the U.S. is, the most important country. The president, whoever they might be, is the most powerful person. The American dollar is the most powerful currency, and all of these things. It almost seems like the opposite mentality. Has that been hard for you to get used to, or is that normal for you now after so many years?
I'm still trying to get used to it, because I was astonished by the fact that most Americans don't even own a passport. They've never been anywhere. But then again, the country is so vast, they don't have to go anywhere to see different places and meet different people. That's one of the things as well. The vastness of America is something that you cannot imagine. You probably can because you're from another very vast country. But if you come from a very super small postage stamp sized country like the Netherlands, everything is huge. Everything is bigger in America, but it really is. The personalities are bigger. The country is bigger. And it takes many days to go from one part to the other part. And as I said in the beginning, it takes 2 hours to leave the Netherlands and you're in a different country altogether where they speak a different language. Here, wherever you go, you can go to a 7-Eleven, there's always a Walmart, and everybody speaks English. And if they don't speak English, they'll make you speak English. So, yes, it is still hard to get used to, especially these days. I don't know how political you want to get, but I really, really I'm not happy with the way things are going, politically speaking. As a Dutch person, I'm a very liberal person. I think that even the Dutch are so liberal that even the Democratic Party, in when you look at it from a Dutch perspective, is still a very conservative party. So I would be more like left leaning and a green person voting for the Green Party if that would make an impact here. I don't, but you know, yeah, it is hard to get used to. And the hardest is when you meet the nicest people who are the most conservative Christian people in the world. And you know that you disagree on almost everything and you still like those people and you
Hmm.
understand why the people are the way they are. I mean,
Yeah.
I live in Vermont now in a very rural community. They say Vermont is probably a red state were it not for Burlington. Burlington is the capital. Burlington is the modern part where the import comes from Boston, from New York and everything. It's where the liberals live. It's Bernie Sanders country, basically. It's a liberal part of Vermont. But if it were not for Burlington, the whole state would be a red conservative state, I think. And this is the countryside where people hunt. They find it fun to hunt. And this is another crazy thing as a Dutchman. Weapons? I never touched a weapon. I never saw a weapon. There's not even a store that sells weapons that I know of. You have to get a permit in the Netherlands. It's very hard to get a permit because nobody needs a weapon here in the Netherlands. But here in Vermont, hunting is part of their lifestyle. Hunting is how they cut down the deer population. It has a function and a role in society. So I had to get used to the people here in Vermont using guns for their livelihood, to shoot deer, and they use everything from the deer, from the skin to the meat and everything. So it is not to go to the shooting range and try to kill as many people as you can. No, this is a part of the Vermont life. And I lived in this very rural part in Vermont. At the same time, I've learned to appreciate the way people talk about family. They talk with pride about the land that they live on, the nature that surrounds them. And many people here are like biological farmers, ecological farmers. They try to live in harmony with and that's a very Dutch principle as well. The Dutch are very eco-friendly, and so they speak with respect about the land, and we're here for each other. Our best friends here in Vermont are our neighbors. A couple down the road, he's a retired OBGYN, and she is a minister who still preaches every now and then. And then another couple living a couple of houses down from us, he's a contractor and she's a special needs teacher, and they became our best friends. It's phenomenal because you buy a house, you don't know who your neighbor's going to be. You know what building you buy, but you don't know who your neighbors are going to be. And so we were so lucky. They introduced us to many of their friends, and so they helped us integrate in our little community here. And now my wife is a teacher. She teaches flute and piano. She has her own piano student. And thanks to all the connections that we've made through the friendship that we've built, she has now a thriving music studio with people from all over the place. We can now drive around town after 3-4 years of being here and say, oh, there's a student, she lives there. Here's another student, he lives there. And most of her students, by the way, are grown-ups who have time and who have money to start learning piano again, and a couple of kids as well. But we have become part of the community now, and we feel the warmth and the care for people as well. And that also is part of America. That for instance, I know I talk too much, but there's another thing that we do when it gets fall. Fall is a beautiful season. Leaf peeping is a big thing here. And it's time for the harvest of the apples, and we make apple cider here. Of course, we make a lot of maple syrup and apple cider. So our neighbor has an apple cider press. So he invites the whole street. We all bring our apples, and we use the apple cider press together and make apple cider and enjoy that with adult beverage and stuff like that. We have a great afternoon together, and that's just perfect. We all get along in spite of where we come from, politically speaking. And to me, that is America as well. It's a country of people who are very generous, gregarious, they're very loud, but they're also very warm-hearted. And that's what I love being here as well. You don't have to guess how they feel. They'll tell you, and they will open their doors and their homes for you. If you have guests and you have no room in your home, they send them over to me, without question. And that's so nice. I really feel that our house has become a home because of the people we're surrounded with, because of those silly Americans who have adopted the Dutch people. And I celebrated my birthday a couple of weeks ago, and two of my friends came over and both wrote a birthday card with a birthday wish in Dutch. They took the trouble, those Americans that never learned any foreign language in their whole life, to look this up on Google Translate to wish me a happy birthday in Dutch. And it brings tears to my eyes, Jared. I never felt so happy and accepted in my life.